Hi, welcome to the Empowered Woman Podcast. This is a place for you to learn from inspiring women how to empower yourself through self-love. I'm so glad that you're here. My name is martaspirk, and I'm your host, triplet mom, woman empowerment coach, and all things motivation extraordinaire. On this episode, I talk about how understanding more about myself has gotten me closer to understanding and fulfilling my calling, and how I came up with the formula gifts plus struggle equals your calling. Let's get right to it. And if you're in the Denver area, don't forget, the next Empowered Woman Workshop happens this Friday, January 31st at 9:30 a.m. downtown Denver at Mile High United Way. Get your tickets now and use code 2020 for $5 off. I'll see you there. Just a few days until my next workshop, and I am so excited. Excited because I had this vision. I made it happen. I had so many people congratulate me for putting this together, for mentioning it. I was kind of thinking about doing something, and then just freaking organizing it, finding the people, advertising it, bringing women together. And I am just as amazed as people are, because it was a dream. I had the entire year of 2019, I was wanting to find places to go speak at and really expand my connections, and especially here locally. And it all culminated into me just organizing my own thing. Like, I found different places to connect and to speak at, but ultimately I just took the bull by its horns, because that's what I do best. And I found amazing women to come speak that I'm still connected with, that I am so grateful for. And then I realized that in order to continue making these events, I had to keep connecting with other women. And this is what I have been doing. I have been finding time away from social media to just meet with women in person, to go grab coffee. And this has been amazing. It has been, I don't even know how to describe, because it's a true testament of how much I've grown to put myself out there and to really learn to support other women instead of just looking at myself, right? And it all began because I started looking inward, and not just how I would look to people and how impressive I could be. I just wanted to cultivate myself, my essence. And I have to say that I am just amazed at everything that has happened, because I started doing the work with myself first and getting to know myself first. And even with connecting with these big figures in the media here in Denver, just last week I was able to go to a radio station and interview one of the hosts for one of the shows. It's a country station here in Denver, and it's the biggest one. And it's been amazing to just all these doors opening up for me. And in a way, it goes along with what I'm trying to do, which is really humanizing the people that we look up to. Because that's essentially what I have been trying to do with my work. Because what upset me so much growing up being a part of church was that I knew the behind the scenes, and it made me upset to see, what happened in church and then what happened behind the scenes. And now that I am, becoming a public person more and more with what I do, especially locally, I see how important it will be for me to show my authenticity, and that I am not perfect, and also to bring this from other women as well, so that people can see that the people that you look up to that look like they have it all together, they also have their struggles, and they're humans just as anybody else, which it's not to belittle these people that are inspiring, but it's to bring them closer to us, to just the regular Janes of the world, and to have us see that we're all the same. And this has just been on my mind so much, because my kids have been watching The Lion Guard a lot on Disney Plus, and they have different little songs that they use. Like, I'm pretty sure it's Swahili phrases, and there is one that they talk about, all the animals at the end of the day are the same, and they sing the song Sisi ni Sawa, and we've been using this with the kids when they're like, I don't want the red one, and we're like, but it's the same one, Sisi ni Sawa. And it's just, really close to my heart to say, we're all so different and we all have special, unique gifts, but at the end of the day, we're all the same. So we need each other, right? We complement each other because we're so different, but at the end of the day, we're all the same with insecurities and imperfections. And this is what this whole empowerment work has been about. It has been about us understanding our individuality, but also understanding that we need each other. It's just a beautiful, beautiful thing, which brings me to today's topic. That, is just a gist of what I'm going to be sharing at the workshop as well, because we're going to be talking about setting intentions and preparing ourselves for the new year, but not from a place of pressure of how much you can accomplish and achieve, but from a place of self-respect and self-love. What do you really want to achieve? Is this going to hurt you? Is this going to hurt your family? Is this going to make you stressed and cause you anxiety? Or is this going to bring more joy to your life? This is what I have been noticing with just the evolution of my personal and professional life, is how I have these big goals and I have these things that I want to achieve. But at the same time, if I'm not enjoying the process, then none of it is worth it. Because once I reach that thing, I'll just be looking to the next thing. And then life is never enjoyable. The now is never enjoyable. And the now is all that we have. So we have to learn to enjoy it. And so what I want to bring for the workshop, besides, different strategies to thinking about what you want to achieve and making sure that these goals are not peer pressure, they're really connected to your vision for your life, so that ultimately you're not chasing your own tail, you're moving forward, but being grateful for what you have today, is talking about your calling and how growing up in church, this was all I heard. And I had so many people prophesy over me and tell me, you have a big calling, you have a big calling. And as much as I loved that and wanted to find it and wanted to step into it and make it unfold in my life, I was also a little bit uncertain about the concept of a calling because of the exact same thing that I'm just saying about humanizing everybody and putting everybody on the same platform. God loves everybody equal, right? He's no respecter of persons. And if I have a big calling, if I'm supposed to be reaching thousands of people, millions of people, and changing people's lives and helping them find their purpose and their meaning, then everybody else has a calling. Everybody else is as important as me. So I struggle to kind of, I understood I had something special about me, but at the same time, I couldn't let go of the fact that everybody has something special about them. So, and this is interesting because I have the type of personality that wants to be in the spotlight. So it was interesting that through this entire time, I knew I had something unique about me, but I didn't want to forget that everybody else has something unique about them. And this has, in turn, really turned out to be my message with what I am doing right now, is helping women see the beauty that they have inside of them, regardless of who they are, regardless of where they've come from, because we're all the same, but we're all very, very unique. Everyone has a special place and a unique worth and value. And this is what it's turned out to be. What I believe one of my gifts is seeing people's beauty when they don't see it and helping them see it and discover it, because essentially this is what I have been doing with myself. I knew I had something special in there, but I wasn't really sure how to capitalize it. And throughout this journey of self-discovery, especially after the chaos of triplet motherhood and these first 4 years, I have been realizing that this is really my passion, is helping women uplift themselves by first uplifting them when they don't know how to do it themselves, right? Being that little voice of encouragement when they don't know that voice inside, or they haven't been able to cultivate that voice on the inside of them. And just the other day, I was thinking about how, so I had those mixed feelings about the calling, right? So I have this special calling, but so does everybody else. So how am I going to find this? And for a while, I kind of put that in the back burner because life happened, right? I got married. I moved 3 different times, countries, right? From Brazil to the US, to Brazil, from the US to Brazil, and then from Brazil to the US back. Like, The last, I would say 7 years have been pretty chaotic. Well, 10 years, because I'm actually going to be married for 10 years. It's going to be our 10-year anniversary in May. So for the last 10 years, I've been just living life, trying to figure myself out and life out. And now, 4 years into triplet motherhood, I look back and I see how much I've grown and how much I've learned from all these challenges and these blessings. And I've come to realize that my biggest gift, which is just being fearless and putting myself out there and connecting with people and just being in the spotlight, being in the center of attention, being the voice, whether it be with interpreting or with my coaching, has been my biggest struggle. Because I have this desire to do things, I tend to forget the other things in my life that need my attention. And I am very goal-oriented, which means laser focus on the thing that I want, and everything else kind of stays by the wayside. And it's hard for me to understand the priorities of the time because I'm so focused on achieving the things that I want to achieve. And so it has been hard having this vision and then combining that with being a triplet mom, combining that with the fact that we started over when we moved to the US, and it was tough financially and emotionally with having my father-in-law pass away within 4 months of us moving here, which he was one of the reasons why we moved, because he was terminal with cancer. And so it was a lot of emotions. And it took me these 4 years now, or 3 years ever since we moved back, to look back and see how much we endured and how much we thrived and struggled in the middle of all of those things. And so now I see that my biggest gifts, which I have been able to identify because they are my biggest struggles when I don't know how to capitalize on them, really have unfolded my calling. So I thought it was this, big thing that it was going to take me super hard to understand and unveil what my calling was, or that I would just have to sit and pray for years until it just unfolded in my life. But the reality is that life every day is showing you what your calling is. It's just a matter of you choosing to pay attention to it and to pay attention to the things that come naturally to you, and how those things can also create your struggles when you're not 100% or as much as possible aware of how those things are your gifts. And usually when you're not using them to the best of what they could be used, that's when your struggles come. This is what I was just talking about. Me realizing that this is my gift has made it possible for me to see how it's also my struggle, and there is my calling. So I just can't stress enough the importance of you really studying yourself. This is what I have been doing. I have started with all of this personal development work, an in-depth study of myself. And I truly believe that that's what we should be focusing on in our lives. Is understanding who we are so that we can step into our purpose and be a light for the people around us. And the more I think about everything that I've learned in church and God's calling in my life and how He guides me, how He's in me, this is my calling, is me following my heart, right? But in order for you to follow your heart, you have to take the time to listen. You have to take the time to listen to your inner guide, to the Holy Spirit, whatever you want to call it. And going through such a challenge these last 10 years, ever since I became my emancipated self when I got married, has really shown me what I'm made of. And so I got to tell you, you could be 18 years old and start tapping into this, but of course, the older you get, the more experiences that you get, the more yourself is exposed through situations, but you have to take the time to look back and analyze that. And what I have been understanding, especially while we're doing this self-love challenge inside the Empowered Women School, we're almost done. This is week 4. I have been seeing how this is my gift, really is I have learned how to take an observer stance to my own life. And this has helped me evolve because I've been understanding my gifts and my faults so well. Instead of waiting for people to point that out and feeling offended, I have been doing it to myself. And while I encourage everybody to do that, and everybody should take an observer stance because that's how you evolve, not everybody is going to have the calling or the knack for helping others do this. And I believe that I have really the desire, and if you have the desire, it's not random. I have the desire to understand how I operate in the world. And this very desire helps me be my own case study and then teach this to other women and say, this is how you can look at yourself and understand yourself and start training your brain to see yourself for who you really are instead of seeing it through other people's lenses. Because essentially this is what we do with our lives, is we're training our brains based on what somebody else says, right, to pay attention to. So if everybody has labeled you as a lazy one, this is what you trained yourself in your brain to see your fault in everything you do. But how about you train your brain to look for the good things, that this is what you're going to be focusing on instead of the bad. And that's how you can start acting out of the goodness that is within you instead of acting out of the bad things. And this is not self-exaltation. This is not being egocentric. This is you capitalize on the amazingness that is you. And this is what I want to help women do with everything that I'm doing, is understanding that we're not perfect, but we can find the amazing things that are within us, not for our own personal fulfillment. Yes, for our personal fulfillment, but also to help the people around us. Because if you're happy with who you are, then you bring that happiness and that joy around with you. So other people are going to be impacted. If you're always miserable, then this is what you bring around. Is that not the case? Don't you know somebody that's always miserable, that's always complaining? Whenever they enter the room, even if you're the most positive person, that wears you down. But if you are somebody that's always joyful, that sees the bright side of life, this is what you bring with you. And how do you achieve that? When you are feeling good about yourself. That doesn't mean that you think you're perfect. No, it's when you acknowledge that you have good things going for you. And also weaknesses, but you're not focusing on the weaknesses. You're focusing on the good things, which means the chances of you leaning into your weaknesses are not as great as before because you're so self-aware. So this is what this work has been doing. I am so excited to be connecting with all these women. I have had 2 ladies that said they were busy, had prior engagements, message me and say, hey, I've decided your workshop is really what I need right now. Hey, I've decided that I want to go to your workshop instead. So they're canceling what they had before to come to the workshop. I must be doing something right, And it's not just me. I'm gathering amazing women to share their experiences. I am showcasing each of them so that people know who they're coming to see. It's not just me. And this is what is amazing about this work that I'm doing. It's not just me. It takes all of us getting together to understand how amazing we are individually and how much more amazing we are collectively. Thanks so much for tuning in today. I hope you got some value out of the episode and my reflections on how to find your calling. Until next time, bye.